In this lesson, I want to consider how Sage CRM's SOAP-based web services can be used to extend its features and integration with other systems. Sage CRM actually has two forms of web service in the current system. It offers both SData and SOAP web services. SData is a Sage standard that is used across many of Sage's products. It's a form of web service based on RESTful principles. REST stands for Representational State Transfer, and SData is going to be expanded on in another lesson. SOAP web services are the classic interfaces that adhere to the SOAP protocol specifications. The presence of two web service interfaces in Sage CRM is a product of its design and the fact that Sage CRM is a system in transition from one architecture to another. I've discussed the design changes in the e-learning lesson about the system architecture. The diagram that's shown on the screen at the moment shows that the system is a hybrid between the older eWare-based parts and the newer Java Tomcat elements. SData is used by the newer features that use the Tomcat web app technology as its communication protocol. SData is going to be an API that will become increasingly important to developers. For example, SData is used by the client-side API that was introduced in Sage CRM 7.2 as the basis for its AJAX requests. It's very important to understand that the SData API available for customization and third-party development use is currently only read-only. The classic SOAP web services, on the other hand, are fully able to allow create, read, update and delete actions, so it's fully CRUD capable. This is why the SOAP web services continues to be so important to developers and implementers working with Sage CRM. Sage CRM's Web Service API, Application Programming Interface, enables developers to manipulate CRM records remotely with SOAP. SOAP stands for Simple Object Access Protocol, although typically now it is just known as SOAP rather than standing for that original phrase, and it uses SOAP over HTTP using XML. It's possible to access a CRM server or a hosted system from a specified client machine, typically on another server, in order to read, create, update or delete records for each exposed entity, for example, companies, people, opportunities, cases, quotes and orders. The image that I'm showing on the screen at the moment shows a development environment in which a Windows program is being created that will interact with the data in Sage CRM. The interface is being created using C# within Visual Studio. Sage CRM's SOAP web services do not provide users with a graphical user interface. It doesn't provide a GUI, which is the case with the .NET and the COM APIs. The interface is developed or built from the .NET and the COM APIs for Sage CRM, but SOAP doesn't have that. Instead, web services share business logic, data, and some processes through a programmatic interface across the network. So you have to build the interface with the SOAP web services. Developers can add the web service to a GUI. You can use them with a web page or with an executable program to provide users with the required functionality. And within the Cloud Edition, it's not possible to add application extensions using either .NET or ASP pages. And so in order to extend the Cloud Edition, you would need to use both web services, both SOAP and SData can be combined within projects. The SOAP-based web services are very important because They are available to all currently supported versions of Sage CRM, and they offer full CRUD create, read, update and delete functionality. The SOAP interface is available for installations of Sage CRM, whatever the license key. And so there's no additional cost implication for using the SOAP-based web services. So you can use it with the very basic installs of Sage CRM or whether you've got a developer license. SOAP is an XML-based protocol for exchanging information between systems over the web, and some other terms that we need to be familiar with are the idea of the WSDL, or the Web Services Description Language, or Web Description Layer. And that's an XML format that Sage CRM uses. It's a standard format that Sage CRM uses to publish the object types and methods that are exposed by Sage CRM. SOAP and WSDL are industry standards, so they're by no means special to Sage CRM, but what is defined using them is unique to Sage CRM. Now, if we have a look at the type of XML message that is sent, our application is going to make a request over the web, HTTP or HTTPS, in the form of an XML message. And the message is formatted in the SOAP standard and contains a structure that conforms to whatever the WSDL expects. And so here we can see a typical request, and you can see that it has a structure of what's called an envelope, containing a header and then containing a body set of tags as well. And as you look at the information here, you can see as well the session ID is being passed. So the session ID provides the authentication token. Sage CRM receives the message and then unpacks it. So depending on the message, it will then query the database or insert or update data as necessary, and then it builds the response. So any HTTP request will get a response, and the response from Sage CRM will be formatted as a SOAP message, as it's shown here as well. Now, what you can see from this, and you can see I'm using a Windows application. What you can see from this is that SOAP Web Services provide a mechanism for a remote application to interact with Sage CRM in order to perform any of the manipulation actions on an exposed entity. But the interface is only about data access. So this API has been built entirely to allow that interaction to take place. The SOAP-based web services are secure. And by that I mean that they are controlled by the system administrator. The access to them is secure, although you would need to ensure that they take place really over HTTPS or SSL to guarantee the text that is sent is not intercepted. So you should be using it over HTTPS or SSL. So, but here you can see that we can control access to the system, and you can see the fact that we can turn web services on or turn web services off. Any interaction from that external application has to be done using a user ID and password. So a remote application has to log on as a user, and when it does so, a session is created that is monitored and stored in the user activity tables as a clearly identifiable web service session. So you can see here the two lines which indicate that web services have been used. The system administrator can choose which entity is exposed to the web services, and you can see that I've come into the administration, into customization, looking at the opportunity, and you can see the external access tab, which allows us to control access to that particular entity. The WSDL from Sage CRM can be used by any integrated development environment such as Visual Studio as a web reference, which enables exposed objects and methods to be available within the IntelliSense of the program. This makes programming with the web services something really quite easy, and Sage CRM provides an extensive set of C# snippets to speed the development process. But a developer is not limited to any one particular programming language within the SOAP-based environment. You can use anything that can formulate a SOAP-based request can be used for interaction with Sage CRM, so you're perfectly able to use Java or PHP. And as I said, by using and incorporating the web service as a web reference, the WSDL as a web reference, it exposes the methods essentially as IntelliSense available, and you can start to type your code. This is this is what will formulate the XML that we saw earlier on. So there are extensive resources available for developers working with web services on the community. So there's lots of things that you can download. There's a sample application that demonstrates how to use the code and a collection of C# snippets. And there are a series of articles that provide worked code examples.